Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe podcast. I am your host, Joe, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Joe.
We got iced coffee tonight, bitches.
Well, that was a bit of a different intro from you, wasn't it?
Joe, it's a little warm outside, and although 95% of the time I'm a warm coffee person, I went with the ice tonight, and I gotta say, it's working. Oh, it's working.
I'm just gonna roll with it. Okay, Joe. I know before this, because we talk a little bit before we do these things.
Oh, really?
Olivia Munn, nothing. But I did say to you, we're leaving it there. I did say to you that there was something that happened to me today on this beautiful Friday. Yes, that's right. The reason all these episodes are going to be so late is because life got in the way.
I didn't think we were gonna make it, but we did. We got here.
Yeah. I just elbowed the table like a wrestler.
I'm pumping my hands
and like
in the
not
air,
on
bro.
purpose.
I'm dancing.
We're finally here. But yeah, a little bit late. Don't blame us. Blame college. But we're graduating. I shouldn't say that because then something will happen and then we won't. We're looking to be graduating. Anyway, it's a beautiful Friday today. So I went out on a walk with my friend Evan. You know Evan. All the viewers know Evan. And we get out and, normally take like an hour or whatever. Within the first 30 seconds, we're walking down the road. And then all of a sudden, I'm talking to him, telling him something. And he just points past me and he goes, and I look around. And there's this cute-ass little dog running at us with, like, the speed of a race car. And I'm just like, whoa, 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 whoa! And this dog just comes bounding up to us and, like, jumping on us and playing around. And it's just, like, excited. And all it wants to do is play. And we're just kind of looking around and we're playing with this dog. And we're like, who the fuck does this dog belong to? And so we just kind of look around. And Evan's like, okay, so we came from that house. I'm like, okay. But there's no way to tell if he did come from that house. And then I see the dog has a little, like, pink bone, like, thing attached to its collar, like the little name thing. So I look at the thing. Well, first it takes, like, 2 minutes for us to actually pin down this dog so I can take a look at this, at the collar because it wouldn't stop wriggling around. And I see it. And the first thing I see on the front, it says Smokey. So now we know the name of the dog. And I flipped it around and I see the address and I'm like, is that house? And we look at the mailbox, it's the same number. We're like, yeah, okay. And so I scooped it because, it's still running around and it's just out. I have no way to control it. So I'm like, okay. So I scoop it up in my arms like a baby and I'm just carrying it over to this house and we ding dong this doorbell. And we see this little boy kind of walk up to the window and he like looks out at us and he has this perplexed look on his face, but he doesn't open the door. He's just looking at us and we're looking at him, me with dog and arm. And I just go, hey, is this your dog? And he's just kind of like, oh, and I guess it snaps him out of it. And he opens the door and he just looks at us. He's still not saying anything. And I'm just like, hey, we found this dog. Is this your dog? And he's just like, oh my God, where's my mom? And I'm just like, I don't know, dude. I only found the dog. And he's like, and I'm like, dude, find your mom. And he's just like, Mom. And the mom comes running up. And she's like, what? And I'm just like, ma'am, is this your dog? And she's like, I was just looking from the backyard. I'm like, oh, yeah, he got out and he came running up after us. She's like, oh, my God, thank you. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So, I do what any kind person would do, and I give the dog back by pelting into the fucking ground. And then we went on our merry way.
Well, Joe, this is story time number 3 of the Joes. And I gotta say, yours are a lot more cheerful than mine. A lot more innocent and heartwarming than my neighbors making love and Jerry. But Joe, I'm proud of you, man. Look at you. You deserve like a gold star.
No, it's nothing. I did pelt that dog into the ground though, so they might take it away from me.
Ooh, true. No, there was no,
dog's got to learn.
There's no reward. What if you're like, I'll give you him for $50.
But I say, no, you don't need to get the mom involved. I'll give you the dog for $50, okay? Just talking to the kid.
You got any Yu-Gi-Oh cards?
Go find your mom's credit card, okay? I want you to give me the credit card and I'll give you the dog.
Do you know anything about
I would never do something.
Bakugan?
All right, kid. You better have Storm Pegasus in that fucking Beyblade collection of yours. It's the only way you're getting this dog back. No. You're not going to trade me for it. You're going to battle me for him.
Base set Charizard for the dog. Deal?
Exactly. Okay. So, that was story time. Little bit of fun there. But now to actually get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, Joe, what are we talking about today?
Akira!
That seems like a lot of build-up for a very short burst of sound. But yes, we are talking about Akira today. So you picked it, which means it's my turn to do a lightning fast recap, right?
Mm-hmm. Get in your sprinter stance.
Okay.
Ready?
I am ready. Yep.
Set. Tweet.
I don't have Twitter. Okay, so Akira. It starts off. There's a big boom. It is a massive dome of light, and it looks kind of happy at first, and then everything disintegrates, and you're like, oh, this is an explosion, and not good. So then we pick up in the year 2019, which for them is the distant future. For us is the not so distant past, which is weird to think about. We're in that era where everything is like, oh yeah, the future is like these years, and like we're in that future now, and it's not at all what they thought, which in some cases is good, and in other cases is not so good. But we're not here to talk about that. This is lightning fast recap. So we pick up, there's a couple of bikers kind of like going around, but they're not like normal bikers, where like, they're doing little pedal things. No. This time, it's electric, baby. And so they're all on these electric motorcycles, and they're zooming around, and they're doing that all over the place. And we're in Neo Tokyo, baby. It's the futuristic cyberpunk setting of Tokyo that like so much stuff is based on, except for Blade Runner, because I kind of did it first, and then like everything else kind of followed after that. But continuing on, we meet a couple characters. You have Tetsuo, you have Kaneda, and that's it. Those are the only two names in the entire movie. No one else matters in all of this. Title name, Akira, that has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of this movie. Anyway, so the biker gangs are kind of at war. The clowns and the Tetsuos and the Kanedas, they're all together,
They're
by
called
the way.
the Capsules.
And then the clowns are... Doesn't matter, Joe. No other names matter in this series. Anyway, they're fighting, and then Tetsuo is kind of like going ham, and then all of a sudden there's like this wrinkly little kid, and he's all like, oh no, stop. And Kaneda's like, not Kaneda, Tetsuo is like, oh no, I can't stop. And then explosion, and then he's kidnapped and experimented on. Turns out psychic abilities are lying, they were dormant, but now they're awake inside of Tetsuo. And Kaneda and the rest of the gang, the Capsules, as you so kindly pointed out, Joe, are like, what happened to Tetsuo? What's going on? He comes back, he steals a bike, it doesn't go too well, he kind of gets beat up, a girl's tits are shown. It was a whole big thing. I gotta recap that story at some point again, don't let me forget that, Joe. And then things just kind of start to go bad because these psychic powers are awakening in Tetsuo, and he's sort of just like an asshole because he's kind of been looked down upon throughout all of his life, and he's like, now I'm gonna show you, and he shows people by murdering them. And that's not good, kids, if you're listening. Not good. So Kaneda is all like, okay, I know how to stop this. Lasers. So he ends up getting a laser gun. And with said laser gun, he starts fighting against Tetsuo, who the army is also fighting against, but they're portrayed as, I don't know if incompetent is the right word, but ineffective, because Tetsuo is just like, get the fuck out of here. And like, his psychic powers are too great. They're too great, Joe. And so, of course, it's just a kind of like a battle between him and Kaneda, and then some other stuff happens where all of a sudden he really can't control these new psychic powers, and then he explodes into a giant techno baby testicle. But then all the other wrinkly children show up, and they're like, wait, we can save the day, and they awaken someone else. Who is it, Joe? Akira. Very good. Proper build up, short burst of sound, and then Akira is all just like, hey, let's just like make this like poetry where it rhymes, and I'm gonna create the same big ball of light, like big explosion thing, but this time it's gonna suck in all the wrinkly people. So that includes wrinkly ballsack Tetsuo, and that includes all the wrinkly little children, and they're all just gonna get shunted off into what some theorize to be their own new universe, and then everyone else is just kind of be left back in like the standard Akira universe that we've been living in for the last 2 hours of the film, and it's a surprisingly happy-ish kind of ending.
That it?
Yeah, I think that's about it.
That was pretty good.
Thank you.
All right. Well, this is Akira. If y'all motherfuckers don't know what this is, you can if you consider yourself a weeb and you haven't seen Akira, I immediately rip your weeb badge off. Go watch Akira.
Joe is going to come to your door. He's going to knock. He's not going to knock on your door. He's going to knock down your door. And then he's going to come up to you, whether you're sitting down watching TV, whether you're having dinner with the family, whether you're on the toilet, whether you're making love. He'll come right up to you. He'll find your weeb card and he will rip it. First, he'll slap you in the face with it very lightly because it's a card, so it can't really do that much damage. But then he will aggressively tear it up in front of you and then cry for hours on end in your home, and you won't be able to get him out.
And I'm a bad crier. I mean, ugly.
He's a bad crier.
Like, I'm talking. There's
real ugly.
Moaning and sniffles and snot. Oh, it's bad. It's real bad.
And you know it's real bad because like most would qualify Joe as just ugly in general. So when he then ugly cries, it's like a black hole, man.
Just imagine a bald testicle. That's me. That's it.
Imagine Tetsuo at the end of this movie.
Close enough. Maybe I'm a little smaller. Definitely a little smaller.
Just a tad.
Okay.
A little smaller.
So, Joe, this movie was made in 1988.
Yes.
That's pretty impressive. I would say this holds up pretty damn well. Would you agree?
Yeah, if we're talking just like the making of the movie, like the animation quality, the music stuff, it all does hold up really, really well. The only thing that I think doesn't work well in this is, and this is something, it's not, I'll just say what it is because this will be easy to explain it. The dub of the movie. When I first saw this movie, I think I saw it with the original English dub. I found out there are two English dubs because, as it turns out, the English dub that I started watching for this week, it has our boy, I forget the actual voice actor's name, but the guy who voice acts Ichigo.
Okay, so I wasn't imagining
plays
that.
Kaneda. No, it was him. I think his name was like Johnny Bosch
It's like
or something
Johnny
like
Young
that. I can't
Bosch
remember.
or something.
Yeah, something along those lines. But I mean, I was like, I definitely would have recognized his voice back then too. Like, I don't remember. So I Googled it, and it turns out there are two English dubs of this movie. However, the English dub that was available to us, the newer one with Johnny, whatever his name is, Ichigo, I got 20 minutes into the movie, and I could never settle into it. So this was the first time I ever actually stopped watching the movie and then went back and then watched the sub version instead.
Whoa. That's big.
Yeah.
That's really big. Holy crap.
Because, I fucking hate subtitles, but there was just something about the voices, and it wasn't really because the animation in this movie, it's all so constantly moving and fluid. So, like, when the lips are moving and, like, the body language moves along to match with what they're saying, when it's not in the same cadence and obviously the same language, it creates this weird disassociation, and I just couldn't handle it this time for whatever reason.
Interesting. So, this is my first time watching the dub, as so many of these anime movies and just anime in general that we've been doing. Because I'm normally a sub guy. But yeah, this is my first time watching the dub, and yeah, I did the Hulu one. I do have this on Blu-ray, but I'm at school, so I didn't have it with me. But yeah, I recognized that. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, is that Ichigo? Holy shit.
Ichigo's got a laser now and a really cool electric bike.
So, I don't mind the dub. I think it's fine. I thought it was kind of cool seeing Ichigo. Yeah, I didn't think it was bad at all. So I think we differ on that a little bit. I was able to get through it just fine.
I have no qualms about it. I will say also, I'm not sure if you got this far into it since you said only 20 minutes, but the one like secret girl, she's like working for the resistance, Kay, I think her name is. Um,
Ko?
Something like that.
What? Yeah, I know who you're talking
is
about.
she voiced by the girl who does the girl from Cowboy Bebop?
Hang on. Faye. What's her name? Valentine,
I
is
believe.
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
Faye Valentine, Cowboy Bebop, VA. No. Let me type in voice acting. Voice actor. Who is it? Tell me. Daniela Pineda. I don't know. Is that correct? I think that's correct, but I don't know. I can't tell if it's the same.
For some reason,
Same person or
I
not.
think it is. It sounded really familiar, so I don't know. It's a lot of the voice acting sounded familiar, but some of them I couldn't pinpoint. But I thought it was fine. Didn't bother me too much. But yeah, if anything, I feel like that would be the one thing that kind of takes away from this. So I thought that was fine. But I will say, yes, I enjoyed the dub, and I gotta say, Joe, the opening to this movie is actually one of my favorites. So specifically, the first. Oh man, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh god. Stop it! Don't sneeze.
Pause for
Don't
effect.
sneeze. I stopped it. I told it.
Okay.
I'm a man. I don't sneeze.
Press play.
Okay. First, like 25 minutes, awesome. Like seeing the explosion at the beginning, I love it. I love the quietness of it. It's such a great display of destruction. It's so badass. So freaking badass. And then my favorite scene, or scenes, I guess, out of the whole movie, the bike scenes, man. The bike scenes at the beginning where Kanade, Tetsuo are hopping on the bike. You see the electricity. You kind of see the Tron streaks as well. You start seeing Neo Tokyo. You
Yes.
got the drums going. Oh my goodness. There's a clip on YouTube of that 5 minute segment. I can watch that forever and forever be happy. It is, oh my god, so freaking cool. So even just watching this for the visuals alone, I'd say is worth it.
Yeah, definitely. It's filled with strong visuals. I mean, you got all the bike stuff, which is incredible. The entire setting of Neo Tokyo is just something to marvel at, like the way it's portrayed and like all the grime and everything in the streets and the neon lights and all that sort of stuff. And then all the instances of like there are just iconic images of different things, like the housing unit that Akira is contained in. That was like one of the first times that I'd ever seen something, it's at not negative, it's like at 0.005 degrees Kelvin or something like that, and it's this massive dome with all these tubes coming in and out of it, looking like Mecha Palpatine looking shit. And then you have all the stuff with Tetsuo later on when he becomes the giant mecha testicle. And like, is that stuff is horrifying, seeing his arm, like the mechanical arm, start to like become more organic and infuse itself more with him as he's losing control of his powers. The stuff with the satellite laser, and that, like, I don't remember the satellite laser being in this movie. And then when it came down, I was like, holy Christ, this is insane. Just so much of it is so iconic looking. It's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of destruction, but it's not like cheesy destruction. It is everything has weight in this movie. I would say, like even like when that laser comes down, what is it? Believe they call it Soul.
Yeah.
And it's just a light, and you're like, what? And it's just like kind of like a spotlight, but then it just flies down and just destroys his arm. You're like, oh my god.
I am a bit confused as to why it only destroyed his arm, because like the beam was all over him. But I don't know. I guess I'll just be like, he psychically protected his head or something. I don't fucking know.
I thought he kind of like moved out of the way a little bit, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched it just to see what, like, I rewound a little bit because I was like, what is happening right now? But like, he's kind of out of it. Like he's very surprised by it, and then he like sees his arm beginning to disintegrate. So maybe it was just hitting his arm, and then he reacted fast enough to like move himself away, like out of the center of the beam or whatever, so that only his arm was vaporized. But I don't know. I just found that a little bit strange. I was like, huh, okay, just stupid nitpicky stuff.
And besides just this thing looking good, getting a little more technical, like the colors and the lighting, Joe. Ooh, ooh,
The lighting.
ooh! Not just the way the characters look, not just the way stuff is drawn, the way everything. Yes, the colors and the lighting. It just feels so alive. And like you said, this movie doesn't stop. It just keeps moving. There is so much movement compared to like Joe. Literally, think about Samurai Champloo and how many scenes, or even like think about some of the old Bleach episodes. How many scenes are so stiff with just people's mouths moving? There is literally none of that in this movie.
Yeah, no, I feel like the technical term is called like lip flap scenes, where it's like just still images of characters talking so that only the lips are actually being animated. In this, when a character is talking, their body is moving almost always, and if not, their head is moving along with their mouths or their eyes and like their expressions. I think this was like one of the first movies to pioneer just like full facial movement when they were talking. And like, you can really see all that in effect because it's like literally everything you're looking at, there's always something moving. I love the scenes of stuff where it's like groups of characters, like the capsules when they're coming out of what is it? It's when they're coming out of school after getting like belted by, you know, whatever that teacher was every single time. And then all the girls come up to meet them, and it's just all of them walking, and you can see 3 rows back, at least 6. I think there's more because I think there's 2 other guys in the back that you can see as well. But every single one of those characters is doing a distinct thing. Like someone is like trying to grab the arm of the one guy and he's trying to shrug her off. The other one is trying to light a cigarette of someone else. The other one is doing something else with another guy, and then the other 2 guys are in the back, and they're all walking while doing their own distinct actions. It's like there's so much, like you could rewatch just that scene alone maybe like 4 or 5 times and see something new every single time. It's insanely impressive.
Yeah, this movie is all about detail. And the one thing I want to bring up with you, Joe, is so we have almost, besides your little speed through, we haven't really talked about story. And I want to get your opinion. So this thing is based off the manga by the guy's name is Otomo. I forget the first name of it, but it is a huge manga. Is it 7 volumes? I have 1 volume.
It's not, I thought it was like 5 or 7. It's a lot.
Yeah, and each volume is massive, like over probably like 200 pages. And I have the first one, and I've read through all of it. And it's to be able to cram all that into a movie. It's pretty tough. And I don't know I know some of the stuff in the manga, like in the manga, there's a lot more drug use, and the whole pill reference makes a lot more sense. But I wanted to ask you, Joe, like, how do you feel about the actual story of this?
It's a little interesting because on one hand, it seems kind of plain, like there's not a whole lot of twists and turns, but I think number one, there's like a beauty and simplicity. And it's quite effective in doing what it does. And then also it makes sense that it would be rather simple because this is kind of the backbone that a lot of stuff is then responding to later on. You know, like you throw a stone into the genre of sci-fi, and it's just like, oh, yep, that Akira reference or a Blade Runner reference. It's like those two are kind of like the godfathers of the whole genre, it seems, at least in, you know, like a visual, like a movie medium or something like that. So it's the story itself of, you know, Tetsuo awakening his psychic powers and then becoming a bastard, and then Kaneda kind of, you know, becoming a little bit more heroic in a sense, even though I'm kind of like on that as well. It's pretty simple and straightforward, but like I said, I think it's perfectly effective and executed well. And it makes sense, you know, it's called a classic and you can really see why.
Okay, yeah, we're definitely on the same page with that. Like, the story is really simple. And again, like I said, I don't know how much more in depth the actual manga gets, but it's a pretty simple psychic story about this psychic gone rogue. There's a military coup, and it's simple, but it really works. For a 2 hour movie, I, I love this. Like I was so happy to rewatch this. And this is definitely something I will continue to rewatch. And yes, like you said, it is a classic for a reason. It's enjoyable. It's very historical, obviously, for what it did with the money it made and how much its budget cost and just how technical it was for a movie that came out in 1988. But yeah, it's also just enjoyable to sit down and watch. I will say every once in a while, it does feel like, okay, this is a little bit of a long movie, but it's not bad. You never really want to turn it off. It's keeps you going. It keeps you interested, even if nothing's too crazy. It's kind of, there are some times where you're kind of like, what the fuck is happening? Actually, there's a lot of times where you think that.
There are a lot of times where you're just like, I don't what, and I think by the end you figure out what most of those like what the fuck moments kind of meant, or at least you can infer stuff. And if not, I mean, we now live in a post Akira world with things like YouTube, so you can find, I don't know, you can find Reddit forums, you can find YouTube video essays and loads of crap just explaining stuff. I guarantee explaining the very niche thing that you're like, what did that mean? And you search up what was the meaning of what the bartender said to Tetsuo back when Tetsuo came back after the hospital scene. And then you'll find someone doing a video essay on, well, this is actually very important because in the manga, and then blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, like actually, if you are interested, even if you're not an anime fan, I would say everybody should watch Akira. I think this is a great movie, but there's so much good videos on YouTube talking about Akira. I mean, there's one video literally just talking about the lighting in Akira. Like Joe said, you can really just take one topic of this, a small topic, and make a whole video about it. So check out some of the other stuff about Akira. But Joe, I kind of want each of us to tell us our stories of how the first time we both watched this. Is there anything else you want to say before we get into that? Because I feel like that might go on a little bit.
It probably will. So I don't have too many notes for this movie because again, there's quite a bit to say, but it's like not sentimental, but like it's like story stuff, like personal things. But so real quick, some of the notes that I have. I think it's a little rushed how I have like Tetsuo goes from being able to move a glass to his hand to being able to crush a man in the span of like 2 on-screen minutes. So like that's, by today's standards, that's pretty rushed for power expanding sort of a thing. But they even make moments in the movie to say like his power just keeps growing and growing and growing, and then in the end it kind of like overtakes him. So I guess it makes sense, but also, also speaking of power, the weird hologram shit they used to say this is how powerful this guy's psychic capabilities are. I don't fucking understand what it is. It looks like a bunch of sound waves in a circle, and then it becomes a dome that kind of mirrors the explosion dome that Akira had, and I'm just like, I don't understand what any of this means. Stupid. All the kids' faces look the same. I don't just mean the wrinkly ballsack kids. I also mean the capsule kids and all the other people like Kaya or whatever Spy Girl's name was and stuff like that. Like, I swear to God, if you took off their hair, they all have the same exact facial model. Yeah, and then surprisingly happy-ish ending. But that's everything that I have for that.
Yeah, nitpicks.
Yeah.
You tell your story, Joe. I want to know. When was... And also, I agree with you with a lot of the stuff you said. Definitely a big jump in power. But they do try and cover it where it's like, oh, he's losing control. Why is he growing so fast? So I guess they're like, we recognize this, but just roll with it. And yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's literally, like you said, it's really... This movie is about Kaneda and Tetsuo. All the other people...
Yeah, it's the Kaneda and Tetsuo show.
Yeah,
especially in the last third where it's just... Kaneda, Tetsuo, Kaneda, Tetsuo.
Yeah.
Oh, Kaneda. My home and native land.
That
Okay.
was really good. I actually that
Thank
was
you.
impressive. But yes, all the side characters really they take the side character name to the maximum. Um,
Yeah.
all right, Joe. Let
Um,
me hear this. When was the first time you saw Akira?
okay, so the first time I saw Akira, this was back in 6th to 7th grade. I think it was summer after 7th grade. My family had decided they were going to go on a big vacation, like three different aspects of us. Like there's the East Coast family members, and then there's like the West Coast family members, and so like a lot of us decided we were going to go to like St. John or something for the summer for a couple of weeks, and we like so it was like a house thing that we rented, and while there was a milk crate of just old VHSs. And so one day when everyone went to the beach and I was feeling like I'm not going to go to the beach today, I'm just going to kind of chill out at home and just do whatever. I went through that milk crate and I found Akira. And I think, yes, this is summer after 7th grade. So I was massively into Dragon Ball at the time. Like I'd found Dragon Ball in 6th grade. I didn't know what anime was. I just knew that this VHS tape that I was holding looked very similar to the style of Dragon Ball. So I was like, oh, okay. And so I'm sitting in the living room and I just popped this VHS tape in, and my mom's like in the kitchen doing whatever. And I was just like, I'll just chill here and just watch this movie. It'll be like Dragon Ball. It'll be great. Um, I don't know if I had heard of Akira before that point. If I did, I definitely didn't have any idea what the hell it was. Because I definitely wanted to fucking put it on with my mother, 10 feet away in the kitchen. But I put it on and I was just watching it, and kind of like you said, I was massively confused for most of the movie. I was like, I don't know what's happening, but I am enthralled by all of it. And then we get to the scene where Tetsuo takes his girlfriend and steals Kanada's bike, and he goes on a joyride, but then he gets, stopped by the gang that they were fighting with in the beginning of the movie. And they start beating the crap out of Tetsuo, and already I was kind of feeling a little uneasy because I was like, my mom's not real big on, blood, like, violent media, and me just like watching violent media willy nilly. So I was kind of like, okay, this is a little much, and then it gets to the part where Tetsuo's girlfriend is being held up by the gang, and the guy walks over, just grabs her shirt, rips it off, full titty on the screen. And I remember just like my eyes like did the fucking cartoon bulge out of my head, and then I just did a quick dart look over at my mom in the kitchen. She had her back turned, she wasn't paying attention, and I looked back at the screen and I was like and then it went away, and then they never came back, and I was just like, okay, is it done? I think we're safe. We're safe. But so, and then I finished the movie, and I had really no idea what I had watched until maybe a couple years later when, I don't know, I was on YouTube or talking with other people that were like, yeah, Akira is like this big thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, I have seen that. And then I remembered that memory. But so that was the first time I ever saw Akira.
What did you think? I know you kind of touched on it there, but what did you think when you finished it? Were you like, whoa, that was pretty cool? Or were you just like, titties?
No, I think I was just like, yeah, that was kind of cool. I definitely wasn't like I was. I don't know, like, because I remember when it happened, I was like, my initial gut reaction was like, titties, which quickly changed to, titties, because mom's in the room next door. But also I wasn't like, fuck yeah, titties, because like the context of the scene, even when I was a 7th grade, I was like, I don't like this. I don't like it's not a sexy scene. It's a very scary scene.
Yeah. Well, Joe, I gotta say, your first time watching this, you watched it before me, actually, and a better story than mine, but I'll still tell mine. As I've said, I think many times before.
I love following up my A material with my B material.
Thank you. Okay, everyone, if you're wondering, I'm the top. Moving on. So the first time. Okay. As I've said multiple times on this podcast before, in high school, like even later in like grade school, Friday nights were my movie night. Like I'd come home from school at like 3 o'clock. I'd pass out because I'd be so tired from the week, and like soccer and stuff like that. And then I'd sleep until like dinner time. I have dinner, and then Friday night I would hang out. Like this was like literally you can go all the way back then, and I even enjoyed being by myself. And it would be my alone time. I would pick a movie. I tried to watch a new movie every week, trying to get something new. Every once in a while, I'd go back and watch one of my favorites, but I would try and watch a new movie. And I set up in the basement. I'd have like my popcorn, my candy, and all that stuff, and I would just be chilling out in the basement watching my movie. And oh man, I was either in 8th grade, so I'm either 14, or I was in freshman year of high school. So I was like 14, 15, around that time. And this is when I really became a weeb. Like I was an anime fan, like Joe said, but not really knowing what anime was. I'm just like, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Dragon Ball, and then Bleach was the first one where I was like, oh shit, like there's like a culture. Holy crap, there's this whole group of people that are like me. And there's like a process where you like watch shows and all this stuff. This is pretty cool. And I was like, okay, like, I start going on the chat forums, on the websites, and I start looking up, oh, the best, animes to watch. And I called them animes back then. I did that for the throwback. But then I got recommended, I was down this one website, and, I'm reading these things, Ghost in the Shell, looking at this other stuff, and I see Akira. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, how long is this series? Because I thought it was like an actual show. And they're like, no, it's one of the greatest anime movies. And I'm like, anime movies? What the hell's an anime movie? Because I was just so stuck in my mind that like series, their shows, like the only like anime movie I could think about was like Pokemon movies and Dragon Ball Z Broly. Like I was like, what the heck? I'm like, it's just a movie? So I ended up finding a YouTube. I tried to find it on YouTube. I couldn't find it, but I found a YouTube video that had a link in the description that said, click on the link to get the full video. It took me to this weird page. I swear it was going to give me a virus or something. And I clicked on play, and it was this really high quality version of the sub. And I just rolled with it, not knowing anything. And also, keep in mind at this point, when I was like 14, I was obsessed with motorcycles. I wanted a motorcycle so bad. I told my mom I was going to buy a motorcycle before I bought a car. So, when I saw the bike for the first time, the Akira bike, Kaneda's bike, oh my god. My body did funny things. That's all I'm going to say. And we didn't leave, so we're not back because we didn't leave, right, Joe?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
always here.
yes, Joe, the bike, man, the bike. So
The
like,
bikes.
dude, my favorite part of the movie is this bike, specifically Kaneda's, like just the way it looks. And the story I wanted to say real quickly was the day after I saw Akira for the first time, I had a soccer game, and all the way on the drive to the soccer game, my mom drove me, and I was just in the passenger seat watching YouTube videos of people unboxing toy versions of the bike, videos of the real life version of the bike that some dude made, people painting the bike. I was like shopping online. I'm like, can I get it? Can I buy this bike? Like, can I save up all my graduation money and buy myself the Akira bike? Like I love it. I would borderline get a tattoo of this thing. It is so fucking cool. Yeah, I love it. It's so badass. And something funny too. The stickers on the bike are a little cool detail. There's this band I listen to called Citizen, and in one of the interviews they asked the band like, "Hey, is your band name based off is it an Akira reference?" And they all started laughing. They're like, "No, it actually isn't, but we never thought about that." Like, it is, because on the Akira bike there's a sticker that says Citizen. So yeah, bikes, man. If you like motorcycles, watch this fucking movie. It's awesome. Joe, what's your favorite part of this movie?
That's a good question. If I'm thinking about it, it's probably the final act of it, just because it's the most like I like character driven stuff, and I like superhero stuff. So this end part where it's like it's Kaneda and Tetsuo kind of hashing it out with each other, and it's kind of like I think coming to a T where Tetsuo has all of his life felt so, I don't know, like he's felt like a lesser person than Kaneda, just because he's always getting saved by him and that sort of a thing. So it's like them finally clashing over that, because now he has all this power, but he's also a massive douche. I don't know. I just like that.
Okay, yeah, I see that, man. It's crazy. The last like 20 minutes, more like half an hour, it just gets wild. Yeah, man, Joe, what'd you give this movie? Because I mean, I would accept like classic out of 10. I know some people have said that because it's kind of hard to rate this, but I have a number rating, but I want to hear yours.
Yeah. I'd probably give this a 7 out of 10. It's a classic.
Wow.
It's pretty good, but on like it is 88. You said, so that's 30. It's 33 years old at this point. Animation has improved. Storytelling has improved. It's still a classic, I will say that. But for my money, I'm like it's a solid 7 out of 10.
Interesting. I thought I was expecting a little higher. I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. I would give it an 8 normally, but the 0.5 is 'cause it's
motorcycle.
classic. And the
okay.
motorcycle.
And the motorcycle.
Just I don't know, like this movie I can so easily rewatch. I love rewatching this. I love showing this to people. I feel like I'll be like that, like whenever I feel like I'll be that dude like, hey, let's watch Akira. Like I'm trying to like make new friends or something like that. And like especially if they're like non-weebs, and I'm like, yeah, let's this is a pretty cool like anime movie. You guys might like it. It's not that popular.
No one really knows of it. Very small indie film from the 80s. Don't worry about it. Yeah, anything else you have to add before we close this baby out?
No, if you're an anime fan or a movie fan, go watch Akira, man. It's pretty freaking cool. Maybe you won't like it, but I think anybody can appreciate the visuals, and just watching it, think to yourself, holy shit, 1988 animated by hand. Just think about that, and you're gonna appreciate it probably 10 times more than normal.
Yeah, people drew everything in this movie. Cool. All right. Well, be sure to tune in next week, where hopefully normal time. I think we'll be a little bit more on schedule then, where we will be watching Atlantis, the Lost Empire. So I'm personally really excited for that. We're finally closing up my trifecta of like favorite animated films of all time with what was it? It was Iron Giant, Treasure Planet, and then this Atlantis. I fucking love these movies. So I'm excited for that. You all should be too. You should be. You should be. And with that, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button, do all the what are they? Smash that subscribe button. I know when I fucking care.
Break the screen.
Yeah, just punch your screen, throw your phone, throw a dog into the ground after you rescue it. It's all the same. Yeah, and with that, I shall say, we love you, we leave you, and goodbye.